systematic violations of due process and the rule of law. The extradition is also an affront to the very concept of national sovereignty, because by inflicting the law of the United States, that is this terrible Espionage Act, by inflicting that on a non-citizen who is located outside of this country, whose work was done outside of the country, it sets a precedent for authoritarian regimes everywhere to seize and jail anyone they like who publishes information that they do not like. And we cannot allow that to stand. Julian Assange is being persecuted as a publisher, as you probably know, for exposing war crimes, torture, and corruption carried out by our government in our name without our consent. These crimes were revealed in publications like the Iraq and Afghanistan war logs and the State Department cables. The best known example, which you've probably heard of, is the collateral murder video. Does that ring a bell to people here? An absolutely shameful video showing civilians and a Reuters journalist and his assistant who were mowed down by an Apache helicopter gunship as if it was a video game, or as Julian Assange described it, just another day at the office. Revelations like this are not just permissible, they're not just lawful, they're not just okay, they're absolutely essential in a democracy, and they are a routine practice of good journalism, much like the Pentagon Papers published in 1971 by the New York Times and the Washington Post, which were critical in bringing the Vietnam War to an end. In the same way that the Afghanistan Papers helped end the Afghanistan War in 2021, after decades of fraud and failure. We need that kind of watchdog journalism right now, as we are plunged headlong into not one, but two deadly Cold Wars, one that's already glowing red hot right now in Ukraine. We need a free press because it is the only counterweight, and a critical counterweight, to rampaging militarism whose risks are off the charts in this age of skyrocketing nuclear threats. So I want to give a big shout out to all the watchdog journalists, and raise your hand if you are a journalist, and I know there are at least some in the crowd here tonight. Thank you. Big shout out to you. Thank you all so much. We need you more than ever, and we need all of us more than ever. And a big thank you. Give a round of applause for everybody who came out here tonight. We need us more than ever, and we need Julian Assange more than ever to continue leading the charge, even by just sitting there in the basement of the dungeon at Belmarsh prison. He is still inspiring us all. So we need all of us to keep the heat on. Please consider signing up and coming out if you haven't already, because in defending his freedom, we are defending our own, and all of our lives depend on that. So enjoy this incredible movie. There is a wonderful treat in store with us in the conversation with Gabrielle and John Shipton, and also Briella, and if you can remind me your last name, Briella, who will be here. Coleman, thank you so much. Briella Coleman, who is an academic whose area of study basically underscores that people like Julian Assange, though he is not a hacker, by the way, he's not a hacker, and that has been amply demonstrated, and the material that he released was not hacked, although the Department of Justice tries to make that claim using a sociopath, an inveterate liar who was part of the basis of their legal case before the extradition court. They say that he's a hacker. He's actually not a hacker, but Brielle Coleman's field is about the contributions that hackers actually make to the public interest. And there will be a very interesting discussion afterwards. So enjoy this incredible movie, and then let's all double down and free Julian Assange. Thank you all so much.